Me.
We're good.
Okay, we're ready? Okay, it looks like we are up and running. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Midtown's Go Team meeting. We'll follow the agenda that's been emailed to the Go Team and published on the Go Team website. I'd like to remind everyone that only members of the Go Team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here to quietly observe, but may provide public comment during the 2 public comment periods. This meeting of the Go Team is called to order at 4:11. We'll start with our roll call. Eric, will you please do the roll?
Yes. I don't have the attendance in front.
Okay, first is Dr. Bachman.
Here.
Eric.
Here.
Jennifer Keenan, that's me, present. Audrey Reese is present by Zoom. Ms. Uzoka is absent. Mr. Hill is also absent, but we expect he may be coming. Ms. Boyd is also absent. Ms. Montgomery.
Here.
Ms. Jones.
Here.
Ms. Rivera.
Here.
And our 2 students, Stephen Sharp and Neil Parsons, are both absent. But with that, we have 6 Go Team members present, and that is enough for a quorum. Our next item is to approve the agenda. Does anyone have any changes to the agenda that was previously circulated?
I do, those, you have the minutes, you could just pull up.
Oh, this is just the agenda, Dr. Bachman. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, shoot.
Hello.
Sorry.
Hold on, now I'm having technical difficulties. Okay. So for the agenda, does anyone have any changes to the agenda for this meeting that was previously circulated? Okay, I don't hear any. So, with that, can I please have a motion to approve the agenda?
And just ask, Tamara, you didn't want to make any comment about, CAP? It's not on the agenda, that's what I was asking.
Well, we just had a meeting, it might come up in some of our discussions about it.
Okay, but you don't need a separate agenda item for a report, is that correct?
I don't think it's that.
Okay.
There's places.
Okay. So, may I have a motion to approve the agenda? Okay, that's Tamara. Second, I'll second. Jennifer. All those in favor, say aye. 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 All those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries on unanimous vote. For the approval of the minutes, we have our first public comment period. So we will proceed to our first 10-minute public comment period. Would anyone like to provide public comment on the items noted on the agenda? As a reminder, public comment is limited to 2 minutes per person. We do not have anyone here in person to provide public comment. Is there anyone on YouTube that would like to provide public comment? There's no one on Yeah, there's no one online outside of the district support. Okay, so these people that we're seeing are on YouTube, not Zoom?
Oh, no. No,
Yes.
these are all people on Zoom.
Okay, we need to check, I guess, YouTube, right? To see if there's
Yeah,
one.
there's no one in the chat.
Okay. Okay, one last chance, if you are watching by Zoom and you would like to make a public comment, you need to put your name in the chat. Okay, no one has, put their name in chat, in the chat on, on YouTube, so there's no one for public comment in this first, period. As a reminder, we'll have another public comment period at the end of the, meeting. Okay, next we'll go to the minutes. And Dr. Bachman, you said you had some corrections, if you can
I'm
wait.
actually good. I'm good.
Oh, you're, okay, okay. So, the minutes were previously circulated, the draft minutes, from the last meeting, and they've also been posted on the Go Team website. Does anyone have any corrections to the draft minutes that were circulated? Okay, then with that, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Okay, Eric moved. Do I have a second? Second. Ms. Boyd? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, with that, the motion to approve the draft minutes carries on unanimous vote, and those will now become the final minutes, and we will post those to the Go Team website as the final minutes. Okay, we only have one item to discuss today, but it's a big one. It's the budget. I have some kind of introductory information I need to provide before I turn it over to Dr. Bachman and Ms. Capelli. Dr. Bachman and Ms. Capelli are going to walk us through the proposed school's draft budget, which has been shared with everyone. The initial draft budget was shared before our first Go Team meeting on February 12th, and then the revised school budget was shared with us several days ago. After the presentation, we'll have a discussion about how the budget aligns with our schools, with Midtown's strategic priorities. As we review the budget, it's important to focus on how any adjustments from the district's recommended funding support our school's goals. This is an opportunity for us as a Go Team to provide feedback and ensure that our school is making the most of its available resources. With that, I will turn it over to Dr. Bachman and Ms. Capelli. And just a reminder, we want to ensure that the budget aligns with our school's plan while making the best use of our flexibility. Keeping our focus on strategic priorities will help ensure that any adjustments are intentional and support our goals. Sorry, there's a little bit more for me to say. To guide our conversation, let's consider the following: strategic alignment and school level flexibility. Does the budget proposal as a whole effectively support our school's strategic priorities? How do the principal's proposed changes directly support priorities in our strategic plan? Can we clearly connect each adjustment to a strategic goal? If new positions, resources, or programs are being added, what data or feedback supports these changes? How will we measure their impact? What trade-offs are involved? Are any current programs or resources being adjusted or reduced? And how will that affect our students and staff? So with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Bachman and Ms. Capelli.
So we did receive an additional allotment of in the capacity numbers. So we went from 0.25 to 0.40. So that's where some additional money came from that happened over last week. So the only thing that has changed in this right here is I think last week we had 2 unrelated teacher positions.
Yeah.
We've done the research and it's one. So for next year, 1 unrelated, looking for science, hopefully. So nothing else has changed on the other side as far as when you removed. Nothing's changed. The amount go ahead.
Except we did add back the para, so that's taken off the remove list.
Please make sure you're sharing the screen,
I am.
because they're saying that they can't see them.
Dr. Bachman, can you just describe what interrelated, what that position is?
Sure, it's
That means-
special education.
Okay.
So it's somebody that's, kind of a, I won't say a generalist, but not, MOID, more so MOID or autistic classroom. So interrelated is what it's called, but special ed.
Okay, and you said that one will be focused on science?
Hopefully, we can, yeah, the schedule really drives that, but, that's what we're looking for.
Okay,
And that has actually been posted, that is posted on the website, for the HR website for next year, so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it says I'm sharing, but it's not opening.
So if I may make a suggestion, I would pull the tab.
Yeah, I tried
out.
that, and it didn't work.
You can't pull the tab into its own window.
Yeah, it's. I couldn't see it. I mean, they still can't see it, because this is.
Okay, no, they can see it now. Okay. Yeah, so good. She said she can see it.
So any questions about these? Again, that will change.
Yeah, so I noticed here, and it said that on the agenda too, the master schedule is complete, will maintain current course offerings for current students. Are there reductions in the number of sections or?
We're still working on this schedule, but right now, students will have what they asked for. Yeah, so right now it's good. It's very good. We've worked the whole schedule, placed all the kids, the current students, and it looks good. Right now, it's very good.
Does that include, incoming ninth graders?
Yes,
Okay.
the ones that are,
Does
The ones that are
Yeah,
registered,
right.
yeah.
yeah.
So we feel comfortable that even without these teacher positions, the kids are gonna get what they asked.
Mhm.
And with these teaching positions been eliminated, are class sizes going up, I guess particularly from math and world language?
No, we had some extra in math. We definitely don't need to replace the math. A lot of our students are accelerating through courses, and so we look at ways to change, to be flexible about that. So, a lot of kids have already accelerated, so we don't need to offer as many math sections. And as far as world language, we're fine. With Spanish, a lot of kids come with Spanish, ready to go to Spanish 2, ready to go to Latin 2, about 30 to French 2, so that kind of changes our numbers as well. And that has changed dramatically over the last 5 years. So we don't need as many sections in world language.
Will there still be Spanish 4 next year?
There'll be Spanish 4. There may be Spanish 4 and 3 combined in some situations, which is what we have in French. We have French 3 and 4 combined. We have our AP Spanish as well, and AP Latin as well. So, yeah, the school's always done, for a long time, some French combined 3 and 4.
That's every school of thought has done combined at the high level.
Yeah, I support that. I know for some people, it was a hard jump to go from Spanish 3 straight to AP. So that was a mighty jump.
Yes.
So,
We do have about, right now, 25 that will be in the AP class.
Okay.
Things change with that kind of, kids get into dual enrollment, and then they decide all of a sudden in May, they want early release, and so numbers change. Right now it's good, but it'll shift.
Do you have any options to do that in kind of the lower sections? Because personal experience, I mean, it's been done before, like doing like Latin 1 and 2 at the same time in 1 year? Do we have the options for doing anything like that?
Well, we have enough sections for the the level 2. We just don't need it. We do it really need-based. With 3s and 4s, we don't really need that. Okay, so we received 158,000 from the bump up to 0.40. So what we're doing with that is addition of one non-instructional paraprofessional. We have currently 2. If you remember, we were going to cut 1. We're just really bringing back to the current level. That's what that means. So we'll do that. Additional funding allocated to the web-based subscriptions. If you remember, we really cut a lot of stuff. And then additional funding allocated for teaching and other supplies, signature program supplies, media supplies, digital text. That's where we were really made a lot of cuts in supplies. So
What's the process for evaluating web-based subscriptions?
the teachers, we look at data, how much usage, and then teachers make suggestions as what they'd like to use. So that's, the assistant principals work with the PLCs, professional learning communities, to decide what to buy. We're trying to buy things now with any money that we have left. We're trying to use that general fund for money that we have now for this year's budget to buy what we can for next year, possibly in certain cases.
I know in our last meeting you said Schoology is only 18,000, but have you seen a decrease in usage? I mean, I have, so my girls have 14 teachers among them, and this year, and there's a dramatic decrease in the use of Schoology. So has there been any changes in the use of Schoology?
No.
I think what you might be seeing is AP classes, because like a lot of the AP classes you're using AP Classroom is what
I
maybe
use
speak to
I
that.
use AP Classroom and I use Google Classroom because since most of my students start in the summer, Schoology doesn't allow me to they don't have classes set up. I can set classes set up so I can support them the summer in advance. So that's why I do Google Classroom for that. But I use Schoology for messaging and putting out announcements and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the students use it a lot to communicate.
So with the 158,000, very appreciated, but it really wouldn't cover more than one position per se, right?
Teaching position.
Yeah.
Right. One doesn't really help necessarily.
Right, because, because my initial thought was, foundation has funding, foundation can pay for things, everything except for people. Right? But there's not much left over here, like even if you cobble all that together for foundation. I don't know, could we get more positions? And one of the things I did want to ask, it's different now than it used to be when we got position allocation. We're going back to that a little bit. And so how concerned are we, if we're eliminating some of the teacher positions that we wouldn't be able to have them back if things were to change?
I haven't heard much clear plan on like going back to, the days where they say you have one, right, you're given a Spanish teacher, you're given a PE teacher, that kind of thing. I have not heard that we're going to go back to that necessarily, like firmly. So I really can't answer that because I don't know what would happen for the 26, 27 year.
And this is where it would come up what we talked about in the CAT. So the district-wide CAT thing. We had a few presentations. One was from the board about the strategic plan. One was Dr. Johnson giving his 100-day thing, Q&A, and then we had the facilities that came. Their timeline has shifted. So they're pushing out their decisions on whether they're going to close and merge schools. So the way it's standing right now, it's like the first read is next February. second raise next March. So we will have been finishing our budget before, and no changes will take place until August of the next school year. So I'm not sure, I think the budget's going to be slim like this next year as well. And so I just wanted us to have that discussion about, are we concerned, about new normal?
I haven't heard, yeah, I mean, there's been no talk about the budgeting process changing.
Because
Because, I mean,
that's what we
not-
talked
it
about the
just-
last time, we can't really push our budget process out, because we have to do contracts and all that kind of stuff. And if the facilities thing slides anymore, they're not going to be realizing the kind of cost savings that would let more money flow back to the school.
So the leveling reserve, remember, what they hold back for us, and hopefully we get some of it back, or all of it back. But, and we just said that we would reinstate the Chris 180 services, which we cut. And we would add additional teacher if we could, based on course need at that time. That would be late August. You know, we found we needed something, Spanish or something, we would do that. If we needed more software, digital resources, we could add to that. And any professional development, STEAM related field trips, we would add to that as well. Get money back. Field trips, 25,000, more professional learning aligned to the strategic priorities, 15, and staff stipends. We talked about the extra time that some of our staff uses in the morning to get all the kids in through the light detectors and get them safer. That's if we get the money back.
Okay, so you wouldn't be able to move forward on these initiatives until after the leveling decision. So like the Chris 180, the first item there, we wouldn't be able to sign the contract until September? Okay.
Yes.
And for the teacher, and that's tricky, so you wouldn't be able to add a teacher until.
All right.
Okay. Do you see, of these items, are there any that it's really not feasible to wait until September? I mean, I know it'd be ideal to have Chris 180, on day one, but if we get it going by September, it's still gonna provide a big benefit.
Yes.
But is that feasible to be able to add a teacher in September?
Depends on the field. It's not a great time to try to find a teacher at all. It's not. That's why we always fight so hard and not this reserve, because, I mean, it would be very hard to find a teacher in almost any field in September. Sometimes, there are teachers at other schools that get leveled, but we don't do that as much anymore because they just take the money. Nobody really wants to change anything.
And we feel pretty good about this. I mean, I did sort of get some, at least acknowledgement that no, they're not going to take half of it the way they did that other year.
I mean, this is based on projections, so we would have to hit the projections in order to get this money. Otherwise, you don't get that allocated to the school. So that's why this is very maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't. You have to be able to survive without it.
And cluster superintendent Sivianis was on the meeting with the CAT that we were on, talking about looking at the data and acknowledge, if there is a real trend here, knowing that we hit that number pretty consistently after the date, not yanking the money back right away. So I'm hoping that we can establish that in the data so that they're not going to snatch it back on day 15.
So Audrey and I were able to meet with Dr. Bracken, and several other people who, many of whom are on the call. And that was one of the things that we talked about as well, was leveling. And they're gonna be looking at, whether some school, on a school by school basis, whether, modifications need to be made to the leveling process, for some schools. And they're gathering that data and they're gonna be sharing it with the relevant go teams. One other question on leveling. So if Midtown missed projection by one student, is it proportional? Okay, so it's not all or nothing, it's proportional, okay.
So we went over.
Yeah.
that.
Another thing that came up in the, another one of the go-to things, the legislative agenda thing last night, was that the state, like the governor's budget, is giving another $20,000-ish to each school in a grant for security.
In addition to the
In
45.
addition, yes.
I
Yes.
think I just,
Okay.
right now that's proposed. The budgets, no budgets in the legislature have currently been approved. So
Okay.
just want to make sure it's moving its way through.
When do you think we would see that? Like what, it would be applied to this budget that we're creating right now?
So it depends upon, real quick, legislation 101, every year the legislature talks about two budgets. One is the current fiscal year, which is a lot of times adjustments, or if there was a big difference in revenue between what was projected and what's actually come in. So if it's in the fiscal year 25 budget, you might actually see it like immediately. If it's something for the fiscal year 26 budget, then that would come in possibly after July 1st. I'm not sure how the state would dole it out, and that's, so a lot of it depends on what budget it's in and how it comes to the district. So the details of that would be more of a finance question. And generally, the legislature will approve budgets at the very end of their session, which is the first week in April. And then the governor has to sign it.
Okay, so it's a wait and see.
It's a wait and see.
A lot of ifs there. And the other changes in funding that I saw on there from the state level looked more one-off, like not things that we could count on recurring year on year.
So overall in the presentation, there's not anything else new. So more just questions if you have it, or areas that you wanna look at or answer, explain. But those are the items that are new from the last time that we met.
I have one. I know we've had issues in the past couple of years with, our SROs and them actually being here and things like that. So have we gotten confirmation that we're getting those 4 SROs?
We actually,
And then
we
we
do
do
have
here.
4 now. We had a new one, a new Officer Patrick that started midweek last week. So now we have 4. We hold on to them, and we have 3 right now. The officer is on returning, and he'll be back next month. So right now we have 4 people.
Okay, and we feel pretty sure that they're not gonna take,
I
put them in other places like they.
There's so, it just varies from, I mean,
But we have earned 4 for next year.
today we had 4.
Today we had 4.
Today. The 2 non-instructional aides, I know we talked about this last time in terms of the controlling the chaos, type of thing. Are those the people at the front door? Like what all, do they do other things?
They do bathroom checks, help with hall monitoring, moving kids along, help in the morning with cafeteria duty on the courtyard, a lot of duty. I mean, it's a lot of, that's what it is supervision, duty, keep moving kids along. They both have walkie-talkies, so they're in constant communication.
SRO stands for Security Resource Officer.
School resource
School
officers.
Resource.
Sorry.
You know, given how many options and choices Midtown has, having somebody at the front door, you know, we have, so we have the people coming late, the kids coming late to school, then we have the kids coming in, they come in second period because they're on late arrival, then we have ACCA, it brings a huge group in at about 11:30, they all have to go through the metal detectors. So it's having somebody there is, and then just all the visitors and kids that come from the dentist, from late. Yeah. It's not a perfect science, I mean, there are times that we can't have somebody out there, you know, because we need those people on lunch duty. So, but we cover the morning, Mr. Vera does a shift as well. We'll probably need to do more of that next year, sharing.
Do we have any shared positions with another school?
No, we do not.
Oh, those were the days.
Okay, are there any other questions from the Go team about this budget?
I didn't look at, how did we finally land on the REP?
We have one full, one
One
REP
full
teacher.
person, okay.
And do we have anything back from I know there was some talk, I've heard talk that about potentially some changes potentially to signature programs.
No, I haven't heard anything about signature programs.
So that, we had a brief discussion about that as well during this information meeting on Monday. And it sounds like they're going to be taking a hard look at signature programs and whether they do a cost benefit analysis, whether, you know, APS is getting their bang for the buck, it sounds like. And, you know, we did talk specifically about the signature program requirement and how that applies to Midtown. Because Midtown, I think everyone would agree Midtown was a well-running machine and offering a very dynamic and robust academic opportunities for students. And we didn't really need to be forced into a signature program, but we had no choice. So I think they're going to be looking, the district are hopefully going to be looking at that because if it turns out that the signature program requirement isn't providing the benefit that it should, that would free up funds to pay for other things. So it sounds like that is going to be an analysis of it.
Throughout this next year or?
Yeah, it didn't sound, yes. I mean,
It takes- yeah.
But they're not gonna, like, make a switch to IV or something like that, right?
that's not what it sounded like. It sounded like they are evaluating whether the signature program requirement is fruitful and beneficial.
Because it's about 20 million, right? Isn't that what he said? They said 20 million.
Yeah.
Per year.
And, you know, losing some of my arguments about, you know, the things that the IB schools are getting, you know, that, and I understand IB's more expensive. I understand that they have, you know, things that you have to do. Some of the software that they paid for, you know, I mean, you get a plagiarism software paid for, you know, and why wouldn't we get that? You know?
Yeah, so we specifically
I
talked
need
about
this.
that.
Yeah.
So, but why, because we have to have it for the AP classes as well. Like it's required, College Board actually, College Board pays for it for AP capstone, but it is going to be filtering into, you know, so.
Well, I think that's been a really important distinction because when we on this discussion on Monday, we talked about that point specifically. And we said, you know, these programs that you're funding for IB would also be of benefit to Midtown.
Yes.
And Dr. Bracken said, we are only funding software that is required. in that context, it was required by the signature program. So she said, you know, the two programs that we are funding are required for IB certification.
But this also came up when Dr. Johnson was taking questions from the CAT, right? And that whole thing came up and he said, yeah, I mean, to extend that same thing, the purchasing power that APS has, to be able to extend it to more schools is kind of pennies on the dollar, and why would we do that? He said that. You know, so-
Well, I think that argument plus if they're required by AP,
Yeah.
then they're required. It seems like the distinction should be, is the program required or is it optional? And whether it's required by IB or AP shouldn't matter. It's required.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, maybe there'll be an opportunity to bring that up and revisit that with APS. And I guess, Ms. Boyd, could you help us figure out what programs are required by AP, or who would be the best person to help with that?
I mean, I can just tell you that as we move, AP classes are moving, we're just at the national level, we're doing a lot of discussion. I'm on the steering committees for like the capstone and English, and we are moving more and more as we're expanding for AP courses to have a portfolio kind of option like we do for seminar, and which is where they're doing things out, not just on the test day to show, but they're doing things throughout the year. And that's where we're moving. African American Studies now has that, computer science principles, now has a portfolio element. So all of these things are happening where kids are doing things outside of the May test date to show their proficiency. And all of those programs are requiring term in. So,
Okay, well, and that's one of the, there are two programs that APS is paying for all IB schools, and that was one of them. Turnitin is one of them. But,
So we do pay for it here, it's just out of the software budget.
no, but that's
Yeah,
what we're
so
saying.
yeah,
It's just giving it to them in signature.
No, I understand.
well, if they're doing it that, and in terms of funding, the license for a district is much cheaper than the license by school. So if they might actually save money. I actually probably think they would save money if the more schools they have under it, they would actually end up saving money.
He spent quite a bit of time talking about that we're not leveraging economies of scale.
Right, yes.
Oh, I think that's a real problem.
So, I mean, there could be a chance for us to get some of this funding, I think, in this coming year.
Right.
Because, I mean, at this point, you're not talking about, you know, multiple staff members, you're
Right.
talking about a site license.
Well, and some things like that, like turned in, it's a great program, but it also requires, I mean, students need to use it for a while. They need to understand what it is and how it works. Like, they get confused. What the students see on the front end is a similarity report, which is what is out there that in their paper that matches with something that is either online or in the turned in database. So if there was a student who turned in a paper at a high school in Michigan, who was a friend of a kid here, that they would cross-check and that it would show. So a similarity check, but one thing that the report does is that if a student is quoting, what they quoted is going to show up in a submitted report. So the kids think, oh no, it says I plagiarized 22%. No, that's similarity. Did you cite it correctly? Do you have quotation marks? Do you have an author reference? If you do, then that's fine. So it's teaching them what they need to do to be ethical writers and researchers. And so that's a skill that you can't just, once you get into the class, that you do it. I mean, they need to be using it in 9th and 10th grade, or 9th grade, so when they get to 10th grade for AP seminar, they understand that program. Like, that's one of the things that we spend way too much time on.
Well, and that's aligns with our strategic plan about college and career readiness.
Absolutely.
So that's a big, and you've heard me talk before about, you know, executive function skills, learning how to be a student. That's a huge one.
Absolutely, yes.
You know, because when you get to college, you're gonna have to know that stuff, or, you know, even in most jobs.
Right.
You know,
Next month, we plan to do a presentation on STEAM and where we are in the process, certification process, what we've accomplished. A very nuts and bolts thing to present to the Go team. I think there's definitely some flexibility in some loosening of the STEAM thing. I mean, I think proving that what we do is we're already doing so much of this, and I mean, I think there's an opportunity to talk about that. Or if we can speed up the certification process. Usually it's like a 5-year thing, but I think when you see what we've done, we're very far along, and seeing if the district will support us in moving quicker. Somehow, doing a review of everything we've done, the district does, and then how can we move this forward and, to get it done next year rather than the year after that.
Right, well, it also seems like there are different options. You can have a STEM program within your school, or you could be school-wide STEAM.
Right.
And is that what we were going for, was school-wide, or we?
Well, we looked at really going through the pathways, that kind of thing. That was, given our complexity, that wasn't gonna work. So it is more of a broad, school-wide, that's why,
So it sounded like there was, two different choices, some of that's coming down from how charter systems work with the state. You can have, a STEAM program within your school that's certified, or you can have the whole school certification. I don't know if there's benefit of one or the other in terms of time and resources, but it remains to be seen though what the district's stance on that is.
The other IB software is Toddle. So all the IB schools, APS is providing funding for Toddle and Turnitin. Well, Dr. Bracken said that was a mistake. She said it's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Because that one sounded more like, Schoology and Infinite was kind of all over them. So we'll find out more when we get that presentation. And so all this STEM scene is kind of in flux at the moment. It's just that that's a big chunk of money for us, and unless they radically change something, or next year, we're gonna be sitting here next year talking about all this stuff.
Right.
and maybe, maybe they'll just free up the money and let us use the money without it being directed to.
Okay, are there any other questions about the budget? Okay, I think before we vote, Dr. Bachman, you just need to give us an update on the timeline as to when, I guess you meet with the superintendent and have an HR staffing conference? Is that
So I do that tomorrow, actually.
Okay.
It's just a quick meeting, like 20 minutes, just to go over what we anticipate for next year, basically what we've gone over, but it's the whole staffing sheet. And then we will meet again on the 10th. We're scheduled to meet on the 10th, this group. So, and here's the other timeline. Nothing's been changed.
We don't have to do anything. We talked about, asking the district for funding for turning in, but we don't have to take any action as it goes to request that, do we? Or do we request?
Specifics.
I think it would be maybe a letter, I think we could send a letter, based on, our understanding of, what you learned at the CAP meeting, the, conversation that I had with Dr. Bracken. Given that Turnitin is required by AP, I think we could send a letter requesting that. But, I mean, that's a small item. It's not gonna change our budget. It would just give you more money to push to field trips.
I just didn't know if logistically as a body we need to do that, take an action, or.
I think we should.
Logistically as a body, if the body is requesting something like that, then the body needs to vote on that.
Okay.
As individuals, If you want to send it individually without representing the body, then you have that opportunity. But if you're sending it as the Go team, then yes, it has to be a discussion item in the vote.
Based on the discussion that I heard here, everybody was in favor.
Well, yeah, so I'll make a motion. So I move that the Go team send a letter to Dr. Bracken requesting payment for Turnitin, because the district is providing funding for Turnitin to IB schools, and Turnitin is required, by, the College Board for AP classes.
I second that motion.
Okay, so let me just write it down. Eric, did you get it?
And
Just question, clarification to this point. Does College Board say it has to be that one or just a,
No, it's actually,
Plagiarism.
no, it's actually turned
Okay.
in. Like, College Board actually has they have a partnership with Turnitin, and they're actually working together to, like, help each other develop their products and enhance what's happening so that it's more effective. So, yeah. And they provide when the students upload their AP research and their AP seminar file papers uploaded through the AP classroom system through a Turnitin portal. But again, as students, we started, thank goodness we have it, we have been using Turnitin all throughout this year. So the students now are constantly, because if we wait till they upload their papers in April, and then we've got plagiarism issues or we've got AI issues, then kids have just a few days to do that turnaround. Versus if we can be using it all year long, then the students are trained on how to use it. We've taught everything. We've already had, I think, in our their first paper, which they did drafts of, they got final drafts, completely peer reviewed everything, for the first paper that they had to do for seminar. And we had, I think, from all 3 teachers out of 200 students, I think we had about 30 that had some level of AI or plagiarism in them. And so we had to do individual copies, but this gives us the time to do it so the kids can be successful and they can learn from the process, not have that kind of sort of reactionary. Right. So having it all year has been huge because we've just been able to train them on what it is to be a ethical representative of your ideas.
So we needed this.
Yes.
So, I'll just, and Eric, I'll send you this exact language. I'll just, repeat the motion, because I cleared up the language a little bit. So it is a motion to approve sending a letter to Dr. Bracken requesting funding for Turnitin because just as it is required for IB, it is required for College Board for AP classes. So that is the motion. Then
I second
Tamara seconded it. Okay. Any more discussion on the motion?
I know we have, she's still there. No, she's not still there. We had other students in it, so if you're on there, I didn't know.
She had another meeting too, so she was in a meeting.
Maybe she could have. really been on this.
And just if the body is requesting it, the body has to approve the letter.
Okay.
So if you
I will
have a draft,
circulate a draft letter.
and once you get the draft, then you'll have to call a meeting. It can be 100% virtual, but there will have to be a motion and a vote on, we all agree this is what we want to say. as a
Well, we're
body.
meeting again March 10th.
Okay,
So I will, yeah, thank you. No, I appreciate it, Diane. Okay, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor of sending, the described letter, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All abstentions? Okay, so the motion carries on unanimous vote, and I will circulate the letter, the draft letter, several days before the March 10th meeting, and we will vote on that letter at the March 10th meeting. Okay, so now we are at the point where it is time to vote on the draft budget. So do I have a motion to approve the draft budget?
I'll look on.
Okay, so that's Ms. Boyd. Do we have a second?
Second.
The tie. Well, you know what, Eric already did one. We're gonna go with Regina. Regina's seconded. Okay, is there any more discussion, before we have the vote?
I just wanted to thank you guys for registering your concerns about that. This is a great move on the part of the team, and seems like it has resulted in some changes. Just gotta be ready for it again next year.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The motion carries on a unanimous vote. We did not have any information items on today's agenda. So the next item on the agenda is our second public comment period. Again, we don't have any of the members of the public here in person. Are there any, if there are any people on YouTube who would like to make public comment, please put your name in the chat and we will hear your public comment. I will, I can add some more information on the comments that Dion has put in there based on the meeting I had on Monday. IB requires 2 instructional coaches. Again, that's the requirement for the certification program, and STEAM only requires 1. So that was the justification given by APS as to why they are providing 2 instructional coaches for IB, the IB schools, and only 1 for Midtown, because they said they will only fund items that are required for certification. Dion also had sent in a request by Let's Talk asking for the programs that they're paying for IB schools, and she was told Todd will turn it in and manage back, but Dr. Bracken clarified on Monday that manage back is not being paid for it, but that was listed in error. But Dr. Bracken did say she was going to go back and confirm exactly which programs are required by IB and how those programs are being funded by APS. So we have not received that clarification yet.
Well, and if there are anything like that, it's also in their formula that covers IB that would be appropriate for a STEM STEAM school, like Turnitin or something else like that, you know. I really do think it's beneficial to get it some notices too.
Again, economies of scale.
The money that was funded for, that was given for a coach, it doesn't pay for the, it doesn't, it's not enough to pay for a coach. The money that was given was 117, correct?
So here, I'm gonna go to this tab right here. So just to talk a little bit about the 1 versus 2. So our signature funding.
Yeah, that's it. No, you have it. That one.
Okay, no, okay. So there's 2 separate areas where we were kind of allocated funds towards an instructional coach. So right here in our signature program funds, we were allocated money for a signature program coach. And then separately in our general funds budget, we were allocated $117,000, basically with the intention of using that for an instructional coach. $117,000 does not provide enough funding to purchase an instructional coach. And here at Midtown, the APs really serve in that role. We do a lot of instruction for the contents in which we serve. So then that $117,000 was allocated to be able to purchase more instructional staff, instead of funding that second coach position with the 117 that was provided, and then kind of supplementing the extra, I think, 35,000 or whatever it would have been to actually get an instructional coach outside of STEAM. Does that make sense?
That's
Okay.
Okay, I guess, Ms. Capelli, if you could go back to, the YouTube,
Yes.
we'll see if anyone, I guess we really need, if someone wants to, if someone wants to make public comment, we can take you off speaker and do that. So you have
So they
2 minutes for public comment. Oh, can they not speak?
They can't
through-
speak through YouTube. We would have to send them the link. That's what.
Oh, that's why they
has,
need to put their name in.
requested public, right, no one's.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so I apologize, I didn't
That's okay.
understand that process. So if you would like to make a public comment, you need to put your name in the chat, and we can send you a link to Zoom, and then you would be able to make a public comment.
Oh, I just noticed that from the AP fees versus IB fees, students, so interesting.
yeah, they pay for those things.
Because it's part of their,
Who pays for our AP fees? Midtown High School?
I mean, for the tests.
Oh, APS paid for them last year.
Right, it hasn't been decided exactly. It's been pretty sure. That's why we come up with the money.
Yeah, that's another
It
point,
has not been a definitive, like, or how many they're gonna pay, it's just, yeah.
but that's another point though, like, do they have to, the IB schools, when they get those funds for their signature program, do they have to use them for that? Or do they get to just put it in their pot and use it how they want? Because,
Because AP is separate from IB in those schools as well.
right,
Yeah. So,
the only one's
I was saying.
Okay, we are getting you the link, Dion. Sorry, I apologize. I thought we could do it through YouTube. If there's anyone else who would like to make public comment, yeah, please make sure you put your name in the chat. And if we don't have your email address, you'll need to send that as well.
So some schools, like for example, North Atlanta High School, they have the IB program. But that's like a pathway, or that is like the whole school? Because I think some students doesn't need to take the IB pathway if they don't want.
So it's the whole school for the MYP program, which goes through 10th grade. So it's an entire school process for 9th and 10th grade. And then they can choose to go into the DP or the diploma program for 11th and 12th grade, or they can choose to go to the CP, the career-related pathway, or you can choose that you're not going to continue to participate in the IB program. So whole school through 10th grade, and then you have a little bit more option for 11th and 12th grade. Because if you're going to get the IB diploma, you have to elect to go into that program in 11th grade. Dion, I've sent you the link, so you should be able to join our
Our
Zoom.
still get all the funding.
To answer your question, I just checked, signature funds are for signature line items.
They have to be spent that way.
The one that's in Infinite Campus, you would say your email out loud?
I can send you an email that I have.
And I got.
It's at me.com, I'll tell you that part, at me.com.
And I got a slide from the presentation last night, so that was from the governor's budget fiscal year 25 for that additional security.
This is Eldiri, if you want to send me an email, I can respond to you as well, if that's faster. If you have a different email you want me to use.
Text it to her.
Oh, that's right.
LDairy@me.com.
Yeah, that's what I sent it to.
Hi, can you hear me?
There we go.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. Oop, now you're on mute.
Do you want me to go ahead and start?
Yes, go ahead and start.
Hello? Okay, so I did a couple Let's Talks after the last meeting. I sit on the Howard Go team as well as the Midtown CAT because I had some concerns about the equitable funding of STEM versus IB schools. So one of the questions I have for Midtown is, are you a whole school STEM school or a program school? And then additionally, when I looked into IB versus STEM, realized that it was in fact a formula that was being used. And I sent both to Jennifer Keenan and Tamara, the Let's Talks that I received that spell out what the formula was and the differences between IB and STEM that I hope they share with all of you. Additionally, I asked questions about what software was being funded and what schools were being funded that. I was told initially that they were requirements of IB, and I've challenged that question, and so that some of them would benefit our schools, including Turnkey. Manage Back also has some things that look like Schoology. It also has test banks, assessment tools, Infinite Campus, and a bunch of other overlap. From my understanding, Jackson does use Manage Back, and that is being provided per the Let's Talk I received. Additionally, I had questions about the dues that they're paying for the IB schools and why our school couldn't get some of those covered for AP. We do not have the IB offerings, but we do have extra AP offerings to make up for some of those, especially in 11th and 12th grade. Additionally, the funding is disproportional.
Oh gosh, we just lost you. Yeah.
Well, if she's still on YouTube, she should be able to hear us.
Dion, we lost you. I'm not sure if you can hear us on YouTube. I will say there seems to be a disconnect.
Oh, she's back.
Oh, great. Okay. There's a disconnect between the information that Dion received through Let's Talk and the update that Dr. Bracken provided on Monday. So Dr. Bracken said she was researching that. Because again, Dr. Bracken said the schools are not getting funding for Manage Back, even though that's what Dion had been told via Let's Talk. So Dr. Bracken had a list of things that she was researching and would get back to us on. So I think it's hard for us to address a lot of these because it's not clear which which source is correct or what list is correct. Okay, Dion, you're back, we can see you. But you're muted.
I can't see you guys, so.
Okay, but we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I've provided you the resources from Financial and Let's Talks that I hope you share with the rest of the Go team. And hope that we continue to work with the district on this budget and receive these funds. It is not equitable for a school of 250 kids to get the same support as a school of 1,800 children. So I hope you continue to look into this, regardless of if it's a program that our school is wanting to continue or not. It is a money stream for us, and we should use it efficiently because we are limited on our money streams. Thank you.
Thank you, Dion. Are there any other public comments? Okay, no one else has entered their name in chat, so that concludes our public comment section. I have a brief announcement. Just a reminder that declarations for the Go Team elections are open until February 28th. Has that a new date?
Yeah, March 7th.
March 7th. Okay, good news. It's been extended. So declarations are open until March 7th. Our Go Team, do you know what spots we have open?
The staff positions are still open.
One staff and
There's every school with a Go Team has one parent seat and one non-supervisory instructional staff seat that will become open this year. So we need people to declare for those. Then every year there is one community seat that becomes open, and in odd years the swing seat becomes open. But the community seat and the swing seat are filled at Go Team's organizational meetings after July 1st because those are done through nomination process. So right now it's just parents and non-supervisory instructional staff that run through elections.
Okay, so, okay, got it. Which
when I
Which
checked, we
parent
did have
is-
one.
whose
When I checked, I think
parents'
we had
term is
one
ending?
parent that had thrown their name in the hat. That was like a day ago.
I guess Eric, you were just, so it must be Audria. Audria, is this your second year on the Go Team? Anyway, we can start with it. Okay, so yeah, so we Midtown will have one.
Sorry,
open-
yes, it's my second year. I had
Okay.
stepped away for a second, but yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so with that, congratulations, Go Team. Congratulations, all of our YouTube watchers, the many, many people on YouTube. We've reached the end of our agenda. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Okay, a second? Okay, all those in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed? None? Any abstentions? Okay, our meeting is